Hey guys, HDV here and welcome to a brand new video. Today we've got some new leaks to go over for the Indigo Disk DLC surrounding Terapagos and how it potentially has more than one ability. We have new updates on Dokutaru, the new Poison Legendary, and a few other things to go over as well. Plenty of things to break down today. So if you're excited for the video, as always, make sure to drop a like down below. Let's try and hit 500 likes, it really helps out. Leave a comment with your thoughts on the latest leaks for the Indigo Disk. Subscribe if you're brand new, ring the notification bell. With all of that out of the way though, let's get into the video and I really hope that you enjoy. So, starting things off, the first leak that we're going to be going over today is, of course, from Riddler-Ku, and he posted an image of Terapagos in its base form, saying how many abilities does this have? 1 or 2 or 3 or even more than that. So, straight off the bat, that makes me think that this Pokemon is going to have an ability potentially for each of its forms. So we have this base form of Terapagos, which again, people are still calling Baby Terapagos, but it's its original form. We have the Terrestrialization form, which is the one that we saw in like the Scarlet and Violet book, and that's the one we all know about, like the big turtle with like the big tail and stuff like that. That's its Terra form, but we also know it has a third form as well. So potentially it could get a different ability in each of its forms. So this base form has an ability, the Terra form has an ability, and then the third form also has an ability. He also goes on to say or more as well. So, you know, that could be even, I doubt it has more than that, but that's kind of the first thing that I would originally think of, because we're not crazy to think that it could even have 2 abilities at once. I mean, that's exactly what the Calyrex fusions did. They had 2 abilities at once, so potentially this base form has 1 ability, and then maybe its other forms have 2 at the same time or something like that. I mean, it has to be some sort of broken legendary. We still believe that one of its abilities are going to be something to do with potentially like Protein and Libero and stuff like that, because they got nerfed in Generation 9, and that potentially could be because Terapagos is getting like an upgraded version of Protein and Libero and stuff like that, and maybe that is why, you know, they got nerfed or something like that. It then goes on to say, reminder, Sudachi 2 only got 4 new abilities according to the data mine. So yeah, in the data mines for the Indigo Disk DLC, we do only have 4 new abilities, and there's a lot of new Pokemon that we have to account for. So obviously there's 2 new Paradox forms, being Entei and Terrakion, but they're just going to have the Paradox abilities anyway, so we don't really have to take them into account. We have Arcaladon, which I think it has Stamina and something else, basically 2 old abilities. So Arcaladon's not going to get a new ability unless it gets a new hidden ability, because I don't think we've seen that on the website, but that's unlikely. We have Diplin's Evolution, which most likely is going to get a new ability, so that's going to be one of them, one of the 4. And we have Dokutaru, who is, I mean, he's going to have a new ability. He's going to be a legendary, so he's going to have a new ability. So just by the process of elimination, that means Terapagos is going to have 2 abilities. Because unless we get like a random other new Pokemon that we're not expecting, but again, that would have been in the data mines. So if we just mathematically take away the new Pokemon and their new abilities, it would leave Terapagos with 2. So maybe this original form of Terapagos gets an ability, and then it gets a new ability for its forms, but the Terra form and then the other form that we haven't seen yet maybe just share the same ability or something like that. He then goes on to say, hint, only 2 new Pokemon got these 4 abilities. So yeah, again, that kind of also helps with the process of elimination. So 2 new Pokemon got these 4 abilities. So one of the new Pokemon would be Terapagos, who potentially gets, you know, 3 abilities, maybe? I don't really know. I mean, Diplin is most likely going to get 1 as well. This is what people are saying. So, Arcaladon only has old abilities, and the Paradoxes will have the Paradox abilities. So, the new abilities could be 1 for Diplin's Evolution, 2 or 3 for Terapagos, and then 4 for Dokutaru. But the fact that he goes on to say, hint, only 2 new Pokemon get these 4 abilities, makes me think that maybe Diplin doesn't get a new ability. Like, Dokutaru, like, it has to get a new ability. Like, it's a new legendary Pokemon. It is most likely going to get a new ability. And Terapagos has to get a new ability as well, because he's literally saying here, this has, well, he doesn't say it has a new ability, he just says has more than 1. So maybe Terapagos doesn't even get a new one. Maybe Terapagos just gets Protein when it, like what it originally was, but I guess that would still be a new ability because obviously Protein's been nerfed, so I'm not really too sure about that. This is what people are saying under this one. So we have Welp not saying, well, I'm guessing that Terapagos only has 1 ability, same with Dokutaru. The other 2 new abilities would be for Arcaladon and Diplin's Evolution, as Paradox forms all have the same ability. So Terapagos has 3 forms, with each form having a different ability, and the 4th ability going to Dokutaru, or a different Pokemon like the Diplin Evolution. Terapagos gets 3 and Dokutaru gets 1, or Terapagos and Dokutaru each get 2. I mean, it looks like Dokutaru is going to have a battle state as well, so if we were going to share the abilities out, because he says here only 2 new Pokemon get like new abilities. So just by process of elimination, it has to be Terapagos and Dokutaru, because they are both new legendary Pokemon. And again, it doesn't mean they have to have one, But, you know, new legendaries usually get new abilities because it makes them stronger, it makes them stand out and stuff. So that means Terapagos potentially gets 2 abilities. So the base form of Terapagos gets an ability, and then that Terra form, Battle State, whatever you want to call it, gets an ability. Dokutaru's base form gets an ability, and then Dokutaru's new Battle State also gets an ability as well. That's how I would see it. I don't really see any other way we can, like, only 2 new Pokemon get these 4 abilities. So I can't see it being like Diplin's evolution and Terapagos. Like Dokutaro, I'd put money on also getting a brand new ability. So that is very interesting. It makes these a little bit more out there, a little bit stronger. Again, we don't know if we're going to get these abilities at the same time like Calyrex's Fusion did, or if it's just going to have, like I say, 1 in the base form and then 1 in the Terra state. But let me know your thoughts on this. How many abilities do you think that Terapagos is going to get? Again, it looks like he's going to get 2 and Dokutaro is going to get 2. Could be Terapagos getting 3, Dokutaro getting 1. Could be Terapagos getting 4 and Dokutaro getting none. But, you know, he says 2 new Pokemon get it, so yeah, I definitely think it's 2 and 2. So 2 for Terapagos, 2 for Dokutaro. Either way, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. So that's the first load of leaks that I wanted to go over. Next up, we have some new information on Dokutaro, obviously the legendary Pokemon we were just talking about. So we have Riddler-Ku here saying, have you ever wondered why the design of Momo, so obviously Momo is Momotaro, Dokutaro, is that simple? It's a very simple design. It is literally a peach with like a black circle with like yellow eyes. It's a very basic design. There's definitely got to be some truth that I barely see people mention or speculate online. Maybe it's just like an egg or something, you know, maybe it is just literally an egg and then the terraform like comes out of it. I'm pretty sure in the data mines it says that Dokutaro has a battle state, so I'm assuming it's going to be like an egg, because no one's really said that yet. No one said it's like acting as an egg and then the actual Pokemon is inside it and like breaks out when the certain conditions are met or something like that. We then have Zhan saying, sure, what kind of Pokemon will have simple designs? Ditto, Munna, Gumi. Now, Zhan isn't a leaker, but they definitely know some information, because obviously they posted the emojis and stuff about the new Pokemon before they got revealed, so they definitely know something. And then we have Riddler-Ku replying, saying, you don't want to tell people directly. So, I don't really know what that means. Maybe we're, like, not thinking about it right, or something like that, but, yeah, I don't know if I would read too much into this. I think this is just 4 basic Pokemon designs, especially like Ditto and stuff. But either way, it could mean something. I'm not really too sure. And then we also have Armor here saying simple designs can mean mythical Pokemon, pre-evolution, basic form, uncatchable form. The very latter gives sense to your depends reply. And then he's obviously doing a winky face to that. We'll talk about that depends reply in a second, because this is really new. That's pretty insane information as well that we're going to go over in a second. And then also we have this person here saying, will a child emerge from inside? So that basically means, like, I guess an egg. And then he says not a child. So maybe that is kind of throwing some fuel to the fire about the idea of it acting like an egg or like some sort of, I don't know, like cocoon, and then maybe something is emerging. So not necessarily a child, but maybe like a spirit emerges from it. If it is a ghost type, then a spirit is very likely, because obviously spirit, ghost type makes sense. So that would emerge from this like Dokutaro kind of egg, shell, whatever, and then that would be like the main terraform or something like that. Maybe Dokutaro has like terrible stats. Maybe it's like Cosmog, where it just has like, let's just say it has like 10 base stat total in each one, so like 10 HP, 10 attack, 10 physical defense, etc, 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 and it's like a terrible Pokemon, just like Cosmog is. Cosmog, I think, only knows like teleport as well or something like that. So maybe Dokutaro has that, and that is because it's a shell, and then the main Pokemon that comes out its form is like busted to heck and has like ridiculous stats, ridiculous abilities, stuff like that. And it would also kind of help with the idea that they get 2 abilities. So Dokutaro's like egg form would get like a little ability, which is terrible, maybe like Truant or something. Like an absolute like slow start, just an absolute terrible ability, where they're just really hammering down how bad this egg is, because it is literally an egg, it's not supposed to be good, and then this Pokemon that comes out of it is like ridiculously good. Because this person here, Leo, says, is Momo catchable? So is Dokutaro going to be catchable? And he says depends. So that's like, what does that mean? Like, depends on what? Depends on what to catch this Pokemon. Surely it has to be catchable, because it's going to be in the Pokedex, and you're going to need it to complete the Pokedex. So maybe the fact that he says depends, like, maybe you catch the egg, but you can't get the spirit or something like that. Maybe certain conditions have to be met for you to be allowed to use this spirit kind of like Pokemon. That's kind of what I think. From this information, I think that there's going to be a lot more that meets the eye to Dokutaro now, and I think it is just going to be like a little bit like Squishy, where it's just there, it's just chilling, doesn't do anything, and like Cosmog, stuff like that, and then it just becomes a stronger Pokemon. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I think that it's going to be like some sort of egg, shell, and yeah, there's going to be an evil spirit or something that's going to be a really, really strong kind of form of Dokutaro. Let me know your thoughts on that, though. What are your thoughts on the fact that he's saying, you know, a child's not coming out of it? It depends on if it's catchable, stuff like that. Let me know your thoughts on all of that. And then also, moving on, we have this. I'm not really too sure what to say about this one. We had Junichi Masuda here tweeting out earlier today this image of a blue sky, and then also we had Riddler-ku kind of quote retweeting it with this image. So this image was way back when, saying maybe shining big and bright even though the sun is still out. I'm tweeting birds. Now I don't know, like I think this was a tease to something. I can't remember. It might have been Sun and Moon, it might have been Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, because obviously it says shining big and bright. I can't remember. And then we've got Riddler-ku replying saying reminds me of this. So I don't know. I'm not really too sure what to take into account. If this was like a small tease to a new game, then potentially it could be something to do with like Gen 5 remakes or Gen 5 games, but I don't know how it would even begin to come into that kind of like conversation. I'm not really sure what he means by this. I generally have no idea. Just put it in the video just simply because it's a new tweet from Riddler-ku. And again, it could be a riddle, it could be a leak, it could just be him saying it reminds me of him. I generally don't know. I'm just putting it in the video. And then also, finishing things off, we have this as well, which I do also believe is about Dokutaro. So we have him here tweeting out saying which matches better. So we have Poochyena here, which seems to, I think this is the logo for like being poisoned in Masters. And then he has this image here, which looks to be like a binding thing. I don't play Pokemon Masters, so I'm not a massive... I don't really know what all these different things mean, but it looks to be like some sort of binding symbol, some sort of like attack symbol, and then a question mark symbol as well. So this is kind of what people are replying in the comments saying, you know, Mightyena Evolution Copium. That was basically way back when we thought we might be getting a Mightyena Evolution, but obviously we got it kind of confused with Blood Moon Ursaluna. Literally Poison, Kieran, Okidogi, Monkey Dory, and Pheasantipity. So that could be what it's referencing. Like, it's clearly something about being poisoned, which again, Dokutaro, like the mind could be being poisoned, which is why it's getting like people are getting mind controlled and stuff like that, because he's literally poisoning the mind. Here he's saying disrupt them, trapped, flinched, confusion. So maybe it's different like status elements or something like that. That might be what they're talking about. And maybe that's the different ways that Dokutaro kind of mind controls people. He can poison your mind, he can bind your mind, he can confuse your mind, making you flinch. I don't really know. But yeah, it could be a signature move. It could be something to do with the ability. You're not sure. Like I say, with Dokutaro likely getting 2 abilities now, from what Riddler-ku's obviously said, it could be something to do with like the different abilities that it's going to get. Maybe it gets a move or its abilities. Maybe its ability is a little bit like Tri-Attack, where you use a move and it has any of these options that could potentially happen. With Tri-Attack, obviously you can paralyze, freeze, burn, stuff like that. So maybe whenever Dokutaro uses a move, it has a chance of poisoning, flinching, confusing, or binding them, like when you use Wrap or Bind or something like that, which would be busted as hell. But again, it's a new legendary Pokemon, so it's probably going to have a busted ability. So that could even be the ability that it gets, which would be straight into banned, because that would be ridiculous. Unless it has a move that has a chance of doing that. Like maybe it is just an overpowered Tri-Attack. Maybe not the ability, because that is super broken. But maybe it gets a signature move that's like 100 base power poison attack, which has the chance of... I mean, the poison one is clearly the main part of this image, so maybe it has an attack which poisons every time, so it's like toxic or something like that, but like with a move. And as well as poisoning, it can bind you, flinch you, or confuse you. Now that is also super busted, but I think potentially that could be what this image means, if he is talking about a new potential move. I'm pretty sure he's talking about Dokutaro though, but yeah, I think it would be likely to be that more than the ability, because... that's just kind of the vibes I'm getting. But let me know what your thoughts are on this either way. But that is going to be everything for today's video. Like I said, there was a lot to talk about today. He's given us a lot of information lately, which is why I still think there's going to be a trailer right around the corner. Fingers crossed. Obviously, I'm recording this before any trailer has been announced. But either way, if you did enjoy today's video, please do drop a like down below. Let's try and hit 500 likes. It does really help out. Leave a comment with your thoughts on everything we covered in today's video. How many abilities do you think Terapagos is going to get? What are your thoughts on Dokutaro as well? Potentially this egg kind of like cocoon. Let me know your thoughts on all that. And then also, what do you think about this image as well? But yeah, thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And until next time, peace.